Hi, I'm Jack Draper. Shout out to QualityShot Tennis.
Roland Garros is here, and we're bringing you another episode of Beyond the Data. This is going to be a really exciting episode where we break down 5 facts that you should know about when it comes to the French Open, as we have the Slam starting tomorrow, and I cannot wait for it. Let's get into the stats. Before we do that, remember to hit that like button, do subscribe if you are new, and do leave a rating review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Okay, let's get right into it then. So Rafa Nadal in the French Open, of course, the Spaniard is not going to be present at Roland Garros. That's one of the biggest omissions, or the biggest omission on the men's and women's side this year. He won 14 and has won 14 titles, of course. 97% percentage win, which is ridiculous. 97% percentage when it comes to wins. 76% of matches won within 3 sets, so the shortest number of sets you can win a best of 5 in a Grand Slam at the French Open. Percentage of tiebreaks over sets played, though, is an interesting stat, and probably not a surprise that Roland Garros is the lowest in terms of percentage of tiebreaks over sets played. You can see on screen that it's at around 8%. Everywhere else, Australian Open, Wimbledon, US Open, all above 10%, around the 12% mark. But it's not a surprise. Clay is a surface where break chances are easier to realize just because of the slowness of the surface. So it's definitely rarer that sets tend to reach a tiebreaker. Then if we talk about percentage of net points played, well, again, Roland Garros is at the lowest part of the spectrum. And the reason why is there is a stigma around serve and volley, or at least approaching the net anyway, regularly on clay, because it's such a slow surface. It gives your opponent a lot of time to defend and pass as well from the back of the court, from the baseline, and it's not seen as a particularly effective tool to utilize, not regularly anyway. However, we are seeing more players utilize, especially on the men's side, the serve and volley technique, or not necessarily serve and volley, but at least transitioning, coming forward to volley, even on clay. It'll be interesting to see whether the stats back that up for this year, where we have more players, for example, on the men's side, like Alcaraz, Rune, even Sinner. They're all happy to come forward and want to come forward when they can. But at the moment, Roland Garros is a slam with the fewest net points played, and it's around 11%. Australian Open is actually quite low as well, at around 13%. Wimbledon at the highest, as you'd expect, at around 17-18%, US Open at 16%. So, yeah, interesting stats there, but nothing too alarming, nothing too surprising, you would say. But this is now very interesting. Probability for qualifiers to win the first round. Now, this is very interesting. Roland Garros has the highest percentage of probability of qualifiers winning the first round at 43%, which is incredible. That's almost 50% probability of a qualifier winning the first round. So that would mean every other match that has a qualifier in it, 1 out of 2 matches is won by the qualifier, which is crazy. 1 out of every 2 matches. For the Australian Open, it's around 37%, 36%. Wimbledon around 38%. US Open 39%. Roland Garros is way out in front. Now, interesting to see, or interesting to know even, that that's the case. And I wonder why. And it could potentially be to do with the fact that some players really do struggle on the clay. And if you have players coming through qualifying who come up against someone who isn't maybe seen as a particularly competent clay court player, and they're more of a hard court, grass court player, and they love the faster surfaces, they could struggle against someone who's come through qualifying and has matches under their belt to then, come up against them, someone who's inspired, and potentially lose. But that would be my thinking behind it. So that's all from today's episode. Very much looking forward to seeing how Roland Garros gets on, of course, this year, and the men's and women's is going to be booming. If you haven't done so already, do go and check out Beyond Tennis, who are our partners for this Beyond the Data series. Remember to follow them on TikTok, Twitter, and also on Instagram. Guys, thank you very much. Stay safe and well, and we'll see you on the next video.